For the freedom of my country, I shall die fighting like Chepakers in an armed struggle, or else like Shivaji, rest the crown of freedom on the forehead of my motherland. This oath was took by 15-year-old Savarkar before their family goddess Ashtabhuja. Swatantrya Veer Savarkar, a patriot, nationalist, poet saint, and a historian who made history, and a brave and a great freedom fighter who fought hard for eradication of untouchability and freedom of unified India. And today is his Jayanti. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar was born on 28 May 1883 in Bagur to Damodar and Dadabai Savarkar. He was raised in a family with an elder brother, Ganesh, younger sister, Mayana, and youngest brother, Narayan. He was an epic poet who wrote many epic poems and books like Marzini and 1857 Ka Swatantrya Samar. He was an wordsmith extraordinary and also wide range reading, remarkable memory, memorization, feeling of oneness with subject, and undulating voice also made his speeches powerful and made him orator. His childhood wasn't easy. His mother died when he was only 9 years old. In 1899, plague reached Bagur, so they had to vacate their house. Yet his family members were infected but thankfully recovered. Eventually, everyone settled in Nashik and he was married to Yamuna on 1901. In Nashik, Savarkar formed a secret organization with Mahaskar and Peg called Rashtra Bhakta Samuha and Mitra Mela in 1900s, which was renamed as Abhinav Bharat on 1904. There they had weekly discussions and members were expected to study different subjects and exercise and develop strength. He was inspired by Italy's Marzini, Americans Washington, and other similar revolutionaries. Taking part in Swadeshi movement, Savarkar gave inspirational speeches and held bonfire of foreign clothes. On 7th October 1905, at Pune, Savarkar was rusticated from Ferguson College Hostel and was fined for taking part in Swadeshi movement. Yet, Savarkar passed BA and LLB from University of Bombay on 1905 and sailed England on 1906 to become a barrister and to inform Indian office at London. Pune police messaged them describing Savarkar as who shared the views of Rand's murderer, Chapekar, fiery and extremely daring orator. In London, Savarkar formed Free India Society on 1906, where Indian students fought for India's freedom. And the 1857 War of Independence, the book of Savarkar, was banned by British government, but the editions of English version of them were published by Bhagat Singh and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And the tricolour which sprang from Savarkar's mind was unfurled by Madame Kama while moving the resolution for Indian independence from the platform of Congress. Savarkar also felt armed revolt is an effective way to gain independence. Hence, he advised his fellow revolutionaries like Senapati Bapat, Harishchandra, Madanlal Dingri to learn how to make and use pistols and bombs. Savarkar also suggested that Subhash undertake the risk of leaving India to organize the Indian forces with help of Raspberry Bose, who was the president of Japan Hindu Sabha. Because of his revolutionary activities, Savarkar was chased by detectives that made him leave to Paris. But he returned back to England. Why? He said, several of my revolutionary colleagues are on their way to hangman's noose. It is improper that I remain secure while my own people are being persecuted. Then after, when he reached Victoria Station, he was arrested under a false accusation of Fugitive Offender Act, and Savarkar, who failed to seek France asylum, was declared guilty by the tribunal on 30th January 1911 and was sentenced to double transportation of life in cellular jail. His BA degree was stripped off by government. In cellular jail of Andamans, he was forced to pick oakum with his hands, and his hands would bleed, but yet he would pick oakum and write poems and books. In his cell, he stopped many inmates in his jail from committing suicide by reminding that they were all warriors of war, of independence for India, but fight and die. And they must fight and die. Savarkar also made Shuddhi for many people by making inmates chew Tulasi and chant the name of Lord Shri Ram. He made library be possible in a jail. He wrote petitions for release of his political inmates. Yes, that petition, which today many pseudo-leftists call it as a mercy petition. It was no mercy petition. Savarkar never apologized to British government. In his petition, he clearly wrote, "In case the government suspect my motive in writing this letter, I offered to do without any release for myself, personally. Let them release all political prisoners in country, leaving me alone in Andamans. I shall rejoice in their freedom as my own." Savarkar never filed a petition for his release, but for the release of his fellow inmates, for the release of the political prisoners of India, who were the future of India. And today pseudo-leftists portray it as an cowardness of Savarkar. He was no coward. He was a Veer Savarkar. And on 6th January 1924, Savarkar had an conditional release. He was shifted from cellular jail to Ratnagiri jail to Yerwada jail. In every jail, he did his activities of Shuddhi, and Savarkar also worked hard for the eradication of untouchability. Savarkar, the father of Hindutva, said the Hindutva is for all, touchables and untouchables. He arranged bhajans, interdinings, and many more, and also made a significant contribution for entry of so-called untouchables into temples. He also campaigned for purification of Marathi and Devanagari script by using the words of that language instead of words of Urdu and English, which have been deeply rooted into those languages. And Savarkar also fought hard for the independence of unified India. He is not the one who put forth the two-nation theory of India and Pakistan. This was in fact proposed by Sir Syed. In fact, Savarkar, when he travelled all around India, fought hard for unified India. He also said, "Nationality is one does not distinguish between Hindus or Muslims, but looks upon everyone and deals with them as equal." And to say Savarkar invented this two-nation theory is travesty of justice. And also Ratnagiri Hindu Mahasabha was formed by inspiration of Veer Savarkar on 1924. And also Veer Savarkar served as president of Hindu Mahasabha from 1937 to 1942. He also did demand for release of INA soldiers when they were captured by British. Yet, Savarkar was arrested on 5th February 1948 for public security measures, said the government. He was charged with a conspiracy that he was involved in the killing of Mahatma Gandhiji. But as there was no evidence supporting it, Savarkar was declared not guilty on 10th February 1949. Unfortunately, Swatantrya Veer Savarkar died on 26th February 1966 by self-sacrifice in the highest means of yoga. Savarkar said, "Freedom is the soul of nation. Salvation and liberty are its different forms." Savarkar also said on 21st June 1940 regarding Sangh, Savarkar would say that just as the fish in Manu's palm grew gradually and ultimately rescued Manu's boat from the great deluge, so also the small organization started by Dr. Hedgewar would assume a huge form ameliorate the nation.